just been celebrating Mandela Day, I thought it would be nice to chat about Nelson Mandela and to learn about his life, because he's had a very, very special life. He fought for freedom and equality in South Africa, but he also helped to shape the whole world. He was a very special man. He was born in 1918 in a very small village in the Transkei, and he grew up as a young boy looking after the sheep and playing with sticks and swimming in the rivers. He had a lovely childhood in that way, and then he went off to school, and from school he went to university. He went on further to study law, and he worked very, very hard to change the way things were in South Africa, because when he was alive, there was a thing called apartheid, a special law in South Africa, which kept people apart. It kept the people who were white in one area, and it kept the people who were black in other areas, and the white people had all the good jobs and homes and health facilities. So it was very unfair, and especially the white people were the only people who could vote. But after a long time, Nelson Mandela was always trying to challenge the government and to get them to change. And eventually they sent him to jail. They said he was making too much trouble. And so he was in jail for 27 years on the island, on Robben Island, just outside of Cape Town, which you can actually see from Cape Town. And he lived there for he was in prison for 27 years, a very long time. While he was in prison, he was working very hard to become very well educated. And while he was in jail, a lot of people around the world were protesting, and they were working for him to be released. And eventually, after 27 years, he was released, and he became the president of South Africa. It was a very special time, and once he was the president, or before he was the president of South Africa, in fact, the people all got to vote. Not just the white people, everybody, people of all colors got to vote. It was a very special day in the year 1994 where we voted, and when we voted, that was actually when Nelson Mandela became our president, and things really began to change in our country. And there was more freedom, and there was more equality. All people could vote, all people's voices were heard. So he really was a very special president. Even after he was president, he worked very hard to make sure that children who were underprivileged, children who hadn't been able to go to school, were able to go to school and were able to be educated. He made sure that street children were looked after. And he made something called the Nelson Mandela Children's Trust, which looked after children. And he was a great lover of children. He has a photograph of him with lots of children, in between the children, celebrating with the children, chatting to the children and getting to know them. He really was a very special man, and he loved children. Here's another photograph of him when he became the president of South Africa. And here he is with our South African flag and all the different children around him. Children of all different colors, who are all equal, all special, all the same inside. So we hold him dear in our hearts. In 1993, he was given the Nobel Peace Prize, the special prize for people who do great work in the world. He did great work for peace. He taught us about respect, about patience, about strength and forgiveness. He taught us to have courage. He taught us about compassion, which is to feel how other people feel and to have understanding. And he taught us that if you set your heart on something, you can achieve it. And that you could be a great leader one day. You could inspire people. We all can do it. He did it. We can too. So he was a very great man and very special to us all.